Welcome to day 2. Hopefully by this time you recognize me. My name is Alex. I happen to be the instructor for this class. This is the overview for day 2's content. Exciting. Alright, so here's what you're going to do today. You are going to learn what variables and hypotheses are. Those are important terms. You should know what they mean anyway, but you should have a working definition by the end of today's stuff. So if someone were to come up to you and ask you, what is a variable? You would have an answer. Or what is a hypothesis? And you would have an answer. You're going to learn how to review the research literature. That's going to be very important. You're going to want to review the research literature, quite frankly, all the time. I review the research literature, but you're especially going to want to do it in preparation for your research proposal. And then you're going to look at some of the basic elements of research proposal writing. All right? So you might ask, how am I going to do that? Well, you're going to work through the learning modules again. So you're going to start with our friend with the beard and the vest, and you're going to watch his video on research questions. Then you're going to watch this video on qualitative versus quantitative. Then you're going to read about the differences between variables and hypotheses by looking at this linked chapter, and you're going to take the online quiz after you read the chapter just to show that you know it and to recognize what the important parts of the reading are. Right? And the same thing with chapter 5 on how to do a literature review. Then you're going to look at some of the basics of research proposal writing by looking at writing research proposals and reports, which has a quiz that goes with it, and also reading some online articles about problem statements, statements of purpose, and writing strategies and ethical considerations by our friend Cresswell. Then you're going to start drafting some stuff. These are sections that will become part of your final assignment. They will become part of your research proposal. So please take some time to do this. Think carefully about it. It shouldn't take you all day. This isn't something that's meant to torture you. This is just you getting your ideas on paper and following kind of the format that you need to follow for problem statements, or purpose statements, and ethical considerations. And as always, you're encouraged to continuously look ahead, prepare for what's happening. You might want to, in particular, start watching some of these videos that are on the Day 4 site as soon as possible. And if you have any questions, ask. There are a couple things I want to show you, though. One is let's go to Lehigh for a second, and let's go down here. And if you were to go to the library, that's important, library, this is where you can start looking for things. I recommend that you use the database finder. I think it's very helpful. Now, when I click on that, because I am on campus right now, it goes right to it. When you're off campus, it's going to take you to a login page first. And that's where you'll put your Lehigh username and password. As soon as you do that, it will bring you here. There are many databases that are available for you to search for research articles. I recommend several, but there are two that I'm going to point out right now. One is ERIC. So I just clicked on I'm scrolling down to ERIC. So ERIC is the Educational Research, I think, Information Repository or something like that, or Center. I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but ERIC is a research database that is, quite frankly, wonderful to use. So I don't know why I'm in all caps all the time. I have a lot to say. So I'm just going to type in a broad topic, immigrant refugee education, and you'll see what comes up. And it will give, it's just basing it off of this. So when you're researching or when you're looking for things that you should be using for research, this is often a way to start. You've got your keywords, you just stick them in, you click search, and this is what pops up. Some of this will be full text. Some of this you might be able to get as full text through other ways. But let's see. I want to look at how, an evaluation to education programs serving research, refugee and immigrant students. Now, this happens to be a report I know that because it comes from the Office of Policy and Planning in Washington, D.C. It is super old, 1993. You're going to want to do newer stuff than that. Let's try for a 5-year window on a lot of your research, unless it's really important stuff. And I'm going to read the abstract to see if it is relevant to my ideas. If it isn't, I'm going to move on. I'm not even going to think about it anymore. If it is, then I'm going to say, all right, I think I might need to get a copy of this. So I'm going to download a copy of it, which I will, full text available here. So I'll click on this link and then I'll get the full text. And I'm also going to pay attention to the descriptors. These can be really, really helpful. It just so happens that 2 of my keywords are descriptors. So the next time I search, I can do descriptors. Refugee. And I'm going to do descriptors. And now I'm going to search again and see if I get a more accurate. Holy smoke, I got more. How about that? Let's say that I want to do foreign countries. I often do this because I look for research in other countries as well. That's a descriptor that I will use, and so now I'm clicking on that. Well, it took it from 900 results down to 279. I guess that's better in somebody's world. But I want to continue to narrow this until I got a better slice. I'm looking for research. Let me see if I can find one that I think would be interesting. There's a lot on health. There is national identity in multicultural classrooms. Sure, why not? What I'm looking for now is this empirical research? Is this research that uses data? So this is something that was published in a journal I'm familiar with, Research in Comparative International Education, in 2015. It's fairly recent. I should be able to get full text by going here. And I want to see, so this person conducted individual and focus group interviews and ethnographic observations. So this is based on empirical data. It's more qualitative than quantitative, and it looks like it would be interesting for me to pursue. So again, it's got my key descriptors in here, but now I'm thinking, what else does it have that I might be interested in? So it tells me it's qualitative research here. That's helpful since I just made that determination. It also tells me that it has stuff about personal narratives, stuff about maps. This is going to sound odd, but I actually am interested in how maps play into this. About self-concept, I'm very interested in that as well. So those tell me additional descriptors that I might want to use next time I search, and would help me narrow even more. But you see what I'm looking for. I'm looking for research, published research, that is related to my topic, that is empirical, meaning that it uses data. It isn't just an editorial or an opinion piece, and that it's published in some sort of a peer-reviewed forum or an official forum, something that I can trust. Okay? So that's what you're looking for. The other database that I would suggest is JSTOR, and there are others, by the way. You don't have to use these only, but these are 2 that I use frequently. JSTOR is going to have a little bit of a different search approach, but I'm going to refugee, immigrant, education. I'm just going to show you that I'm doing the same thing. And now I see refugees, immigrants in the state, but I don't see education highlighted anywhere. Here I see this is an essay on a review bibliography from 2003 or 4. Seems kind of old. This is more economics driven. This has to do with food stamps. Might take a little more digging in JSTOR for me to find what I want to find. I can also sort this differently. I could sort it by the newest rather than the most relevant. Not sure that was helpful. But there are different ways that you can look. I find that JSTOR sometimes is a really good place to look. In this case, it looked like Eric was the better bet. But you play around with those and find the one that works best for you, so that when you are developing your research idea and you're thinking about how to review the literature, remember, you have some ideas now, and that you can put those to use, and you can start reviewing the literature as soon as possible. Okay. If you have any questions, please ask in the forum on CourseSite or send me or Katrina an email.